Hey guys, my last video was a guide on farming incursions and temples, including Doriani's Institute, so I thought to myself, why not keep those and see if corrupting gems is really as free as I heard people say it is. For this I corrupted a total of 240 gems, 3 mirrors in value, in about 3 hours, and I made about a mirror in profit from it. And these are the divines I got in sales over the last night, 1700 right now, and there are still some jewels selling right here. Of course most of them are jewels. I also sold some other stuff, but not really that much. Some very important disclaimers for this video. This is not a random gamble at this sample size. And yes, you need some starting currency. It's a rich get richer type strat, but you can also do it with cheaper gems. And the margins for this are of course gonna go down by a lot. If more people start doing this, the market for these gems is pretty small. I'm trying to use this video to explain some mechanics and gem choices in detail, apart from just showing a profit sheet. Let's start off with how double corrupting works and how to pick a gem based on that before I go into my results. Doriani's Institute is a tier 3 room that appears in temples from incursion. It contains a lapidary lens, similar to the locus of corruption. This applies 2 vaal orbs back to back to the gem. It doesn't take the best outcome, but it takes both of them. After the first 4 outcomes, one of the remaining 3 is picked. The 4 outcomes are level, quality, vaal version and nothing. If the gem has no vaal version, that becomes nothing too. The level of the gem can go either up or down once. It's a 50-50. There are 21 outcomes for quality, 10 quality up, 10 down, or staying at the original value. Equal chance each. This is of course capped at 0 and 23, so the overflow applies to the maximum value. So if you corrupt a 20% quality gem, it's 8/21. It hits 23% when it hits the quality roll. And as I already said, then the remaining outcomes are rolled for again. So something like a 23% quality gem is possible. I wrote down the important odds here for the expected profit calculation, and I'm pretty sure this is still how it works based on the results I got. It's also consistent with the wiki, but it doesn't include all odds. Most importantly, a level up is 25%. It's 12.5% to hit on the first corruption, and after that it's 3 times 1/4 times 1/3 and times a half for the level up. So another 12.5% on top, together 25%. The first table here shows this under the level. If you care about quality, the second table right here under quality becomes relevant for you, but instead of price checking every value here, you can also round the 2120 value if the high and low end balance each other out. The third table under vaal or nothing is relevant if you corrupt a gem that has a vaal version, for example discipline, righteous fire, reap, plate vortex, something like that. Usually for those you only care about the vaal 2120 version, and it's enough to work with that value. With those numbers in mind, let me explain how you would choose a gem to corrupt now. Here are some examples of what I wrote down at the time of doing them. Basically the starting price for level 3 or 20 gems with quality, and then the expected outcome from the odds multiplied with the probability here. These are of course not up to date anymore. At this point I should also note that there are some sites like gems.poetools.dev that try to estimate the profit of these, but they sometimes suffer from not enough data and are usually a bit off in my opinion, at least at this point in the league. I will just use Awakened Enhance as a quick example because the quality does not matter. So for this one I will search for the maximum level. It's level 5 for those, and those will be around 230 divines right now. So we will multiply this with 0.25 and then we will look what the pricks are worth. So the level 4 corrupted, and those are not even 2 divines, and I assume of course level 3s are gonna be worth even less. So let's say 2 divines times 0.5 for the chance to get a level 4 prick, and 1 divine times 0.25 to get a level 3 prick, so a level down. And altogether this gives us just under 60 divines. So if this gem would be like 50 divines, we would make an expected minus the temple around 58 divines profit. So let's look up what the uncorrupted version is, and it's 41 divines, so this would actually be a lot of profit. I think it wasn't 2 days ago, but now it is. I think same thing with Creator Spell Echo. That was at around the 20 divines profit margin an hour ago as well. I think both of those were negative when I first did this, so always keep an eye on this. Something super expensive like Awakened Enlighten is usually a loss because a lot of people gamble on it and just corrupt like 2 gems. But of course, like a gem this expensive only works if you have a big sample size, because otherwise it's just a gamble and you can lose hundreds of divines. And you see there are only 21 listed, so if you buy like 10 of them and you don't even get 10 of them for under 50 divines, then the market is empty and you can get unlucky. So I still wouldn't do this on this. Well, maybe just the first 5 if you have enough money, but this is risky. If you look up, for example, Minion Pact in comparison, and an uncorrupted one of this would be just over 2 divines. And if you look what we would get for level 4 at 20% quality, that goes for over 20 divines. So alone this by 1/4 would already be profitable to corrupt this one just based on the level 4 one, even if the bricks are worth 0 chaos. Okay, so let's finally start talking about my results. I did 6 runs in total, and 5 of these runs were within a few hours. The first one I did the night before, just because I needed some of the currency back from selling those gems to continue doing this, because I had like 1,100 divines. And for the first one I got pretty unlucky. I just barely broke even with 40 companionships. I expected around like 240 divines in profit, only made about 34. I adjusted all of these values with pricing changes I already did on Faustus. And of course the cost of the temples, 23 divines for each run. For run 2 I tested out some different gems that had a good profit margin at the time. And that one this time was around expectation, mostly because I got much better luck on the level 4s. For the third run I continued with multi-strikes at 10 divines. I think they are more right now. And ended up with around expectations again and made some good profit already. For run 4 I did something different. I tested vaal gems because Plate Vortex and Reap were around 50 divines. They have gone down a lot. Usually if a vaal gem is like over 40 divines, they usually crash pretty fast. And I got a lot over expectation. I got 6 level 21 vaal gems. And these were all of the profits, so over 200 divines on that one. For run 5, I did companionship, multi-strike and cooldown reduction. I had to buy a lot of different ones on this because the market was pretty empty for some of them already. Something I didn't note before. All of these runs were basically just under 30 minutes. The longest one was 30 minutes and the shortest one was 26. So it ended up being 2 hours and 47 minutes in total, actually corrupting the gems. And finally for the last run, after I didn't have the greatest luck on the expensive gems usually, I got 16 level 4s and made 378 divines in profit. So that's far over the expectations I had. And I also only got 3 level 2s, which is pretty insane, RNG. Expected is of course 10 if you do 40. And I ended up with a total profit of 1,074 divines, which is basically a mirror, at least 2 days ago when I started doing this. And yeah, as I said already, I needed 3 hours for this. My exact average time running each temple, with loading times of course, was 42 seconds. My fastest ones were like 16 seconds and the slowest pushing a minute. You only open the temple layout in the bottom right over your skill bar. Look for Doryani's Institute on the layout and then go there directly as fast as possible. The general temple layout is always the same, but only some doors are open and rooms are in different places. My build is pretty fast doing that, moving around with Frostblink of Wintry Blast. Very important, don't forget to put your gems in your inventory and having them at 20% quality if that matters. Otherwise you will lose a lot of divines. For example, multi-strike crashes a lot if you don't have quality on it, so always remember doing that. Also, here's my wealthy exile after taking the currency out from Faustus. Of course not every gem sold yet, but yeah, it will come out at around a mirror. Of course you need some time to buy gems and temples in advance. There are usually multiple per seller, so it's not that big of a thing. The bigger problem here is the small market, which I only did a few gems at a time in every run and let the price recover a bit and then looked if it's still profitable. This is more of a showcase than saying you can go and replicate this immediately, most likely. But I hope it was still somewhat informing and interesting to watch. I hope I didn't mess up any numbers. If so, let me know in the comments. Also, feel free to ask any questions if you have any. Leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and I will see you in the next one.